The sloth is the slowest mammal on Earth. They live in trees in the Amazon very slowly, hand over hand, along the underside of branches. Oops! The sloth is so named for its very slow movements. The Brazilians call them preguiças, which means lazy or lazy ones. Yet they are neither slothful or lazy, but their deliberate slow movements are ben calculado, well calculated. Each movement done so thoughtfully, as if they could never err in their decision. They are descendants of the giant ground sloth, who stood 14 feet tall and walked erect. But nowadays, they grow to about 2 feet with an arm span of about 3 feet. They have become highly modified and specialized for arboreal locomotion. They have nearly lost the ability to move on the ground and cannot walk. They must sprawl on their bellies and drag themselves forward with their front claws. But their inability to walk is more than offset by the many elegant adaptations for both the slow life and life in the canopy. For instance, preguiças are good swimmers. Not only do they do the breaststroke, but they do the backstroke. And they like the water too. Preguiças are covered with dense shaggy fur. The hair grows and curves in the opposite direction of all other mammals, that is, from stomach to the back. The hair points towards the ground, helping them shed rain, as well as to provide their number one form of defense, camouflage. The unusual direction of the hair, in combination with its nondescript grayish-brownish color, with flecks of white hair on the backs, makes them almost invisible in trees. If you don't see them move, you mistake them for a clump of moss. They have short, stout tails, forearms substantially longer than the hind limbs, and 3 enlarged, hook-like claws on every limb. As you watch them move, you realize they have 270 degrees of joint rotation in their hips, shoulders, rotator cuffs, and claws, allowing them to rotate their arms back like this, scratch their little heads like this, and completely tuck their necks into their chest, and rotate their hind legs like this. With 9 cervical vertebrae, that's 2 more than any other mammal on Earth. They turn their heads through 270 degrees like a well-oiled machine. Preguiças are strict vegetarians and feed mainly on a specific leaf found in their home range. Sometimes we go to the boundaries of our reserve to bring the leaves to the interior of the property where all of our sloths live. That way, no one needs to wander off the reserve in search of their leaves, becoming vulnerable to hunters. In terms of scientific classification and taxonomy, the sloth belongs to the animal kingdom, the mammal class, and the order Xenarthra edentata. That means sloths are related to anteaters and armadillos, who share the same class. That relationship is kind of difficult to see. You'd think these furry, warm-blooded creatures would be related to bears or maybe raccoons, not armadillos and anteaters. Edentata means toothless, but sloths are not toothless. They don't have canine or incisor teeth, but they have 4 to 5 highly distinctive teeth that are cemented into a tooth row that sits in the same place as the coronoid process. That's the angled part of your jawbone. Sloths are shy, solitary creatures. About the only time you'll see them with another is when you see a female with her baby. The gestation period for sloths is really quite long, a minimum of 8 months. This mom here was captured by a hunter. The baby would have just been tossed off into the forest. And judging by the size of it and the fact that it's still breastfeeding, 3 to 4 weeks old, and would have never survived. Someone told him about my reserve and that in exchange for a sloth, I give 2 kilos of rice, coffee, sugar, beans, soap, and powdered milk. He brought the mom and child to me. By exchanging essentially 2 weeks of food for a sloth that they were going to eat, not only am I providing people with a sound nutritional alternative, but I'm also giving the preguiça value. And no matter where you are, in what culture you may find yourself, things that people value will be treasured and protected. They will not find their way into the cooking pan or be slaughtered. Just to show you how little there is to eat, I wetted down this adolescent male sloth. Underneath his shaggy fur, there's nothing but bones. There's no meat on the torso or anywhere else for that matter, and they don't even have a fat layer. Sloths have the smallest muscle mass of all animals, contributing 25% of its overall weight. Compare that to horses that are 80% muscle, or humans, which are about 50% muscle. Looking at this, it's clear that these animals were not put on the earth, according to some scholars, 75 million years ago, for eating. Sloths are completely comfortable and at home clinging to me, no matter what I'm doing, because I'm a constant source of 98.6 degrees of warmth. You'd think in the Amazon being chilly isn't an issue since we have year-round tropical temperature. Feeling cold is a concern for a sloth because their temperature range is 18 degrees. Their bodies go from 93 to 111 degrees. Compare that to our body range. We have a temperature range of about 2 degrees either way. Their sense of sight and hearing are poorly developed. They are defenseless except for their swipe. This is their most aggressive move, and executed with poor vision is not truly effective. They usually don't fight back when chased or captured. Instead, they stay motionless, clinging tightly to its tree, or they will climb out of reach. Neither are successful when your number one predator is man. Why do I think the sloth is so important and worth preserving? I firmly believe that they hold the keys to our health and our well-being. Preguiças live disease-free lives. What can we learn about their metabolism, their cartilage, and their immune system? Not only will biodiversity suffer a loss, but we as mankind will suffer a loss, because all that we could have learned will never be achieved if the sloth is extinct. Thank you so much for your interest in preserving as preguiças, the three-toed sloths.